You hear the name King Solomon, and right away, two things probably pop in your head: incredible wisdom and even more incredible wealth. But the stories about his riches are so wild, they almost sound like a fairy tale. So, how much of that is real and how much is just legend? Let's dig in and see what the original account actually says.
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Which one came first? Was Solomon's legendary wisdom the reason he got so wealthy? Or was all that money just a way for him to show off how smart he was? We're about to see just how tangled up those two things really were.
Okay, so let's start with the king's reputation. And we're not talking about local gossip here. This was like the ancient world's biggest news story. Word about Solomon's wisdom and his amazing kingdom spread far and wide, reaching the ears of the most powerful people on the planet.
And one of those rulers who heard the buzz was the powerful Queen of Sheba. Now, she was a major player in her own right, and she wasn't just going to take somebody's word for it. She wasn't traveling all that way just to be impressed. She was on a fact-finding mission to see if this king was really all he was cracked up to be.
So, what did this royal test actually look like? Well, this was no simple state dinner. This was a high-stakes encounter, a real meeting of the minds between two of the world's most influential leaders. She was there to separate the man from the myth.
And believe me, the queen knew how to make an entrance. Just look at what she brought with her. Her caravan was a huge statement. All these spices, tons of gold, precious stones. She was showing up to prove that she was meeting Solomon as an equal, not as some starstruck fan.
But here's the thing. Her main goal wasn't really about trade or diplomacy. It was about an intellectual showdown. She came armed with these brain busters, these really tough questions designed to see if she could stump him, to find a crack in that legendary wisdom.
So how'd it go? Well, according to the account, Solomon just knocked every single one out of the park. It says he answered all her questions, that there was literally nothing she could throw at him that was too difficult to explain. The first part of her test, the test of his mind, was a total win for the king.
Okay, so he passed the wisdom test. But what she saw with her own two eyes, that's what really changed everything. This is the moment where all her skepticism just melts away and turns into pure awe.
And what's so interesting here is that it wasn't just one thing. It was the whole shebang. It was the architecture, the logistics of the court, the food, how his officials were organized, the rituals at the temple. Every single detail was proof of a kingdom running at peak performance. It was his wisdom made real, right in front of her.
And this is her final judgment in her own words. It's an incredible quote. She's basically saying, the stories I heard don't even come close. The reality of Solomon's kingdom didn't just live up to the hype. It completely shattered it.
And this final gift exchange tells you everything you need to know. The queen gives this unbelievably generous royal gift. And in return, Solomon gives her everything she asked for, and then adds even more on top from his own treasury. He wasn't just matching her generosity, he was effortlessly exceeding it.
So we've heard the eyewitness account from another monarch, but now let's get down to brass tacks. Let's look at the actual numbers behind the legend to try and get a sense of this incredible wealth. Just look at that number, 666 talents of gold. And that was his income every single year. To give you an idea, that's about 25 tons of gold. That's billions of dollars in today's money. And remember, that was just his base income, not even counting all the money from trade. It's just staggering.
And he wasn't just hoarding all that gold in a basement somewhere. Oh no, he was putting it on display. Hundreds of shields for his guards were made from hammered gold. Every cup, every plate in the palace was pure gold. This wasn't just about being rich, it was about showing it. And this part right here, this is what really blows my mind. Just think about it. Silver, the metal that propped up entire empires, was considered so worthless in Jerusalem that it was as common as rocks on the ground. His kingdom was so wealthy, it completely changed the value of precious metals.
Of course, you don't have that kind of money without having the muscle to back it up. Solomon's wealth was protected by some serious military power. He had a massive army, with thousands of chariots and horses stationed in key cities. This force was what guaranteed his control over the trade routes that were the lifeblood of his empire.
So where did all this wealth actually come from? Well, it was the engine of this really sophisticated global trade network that Solomon had masterfully set up and controlled.
Sure, his own ships were bringing in gold and all kinds of exotic goods, but the real genius move? He became the ultimate middleman. He'd import high-tech war chariots from Egypt and horses from other places, and then he'd turn around and sell them for a profit to other kings. He controlled the market for both luxury goods
and military hardware.
So when you put it all together, the Queen's testimony, the financial stats, the military power, the global trade, the final verdict from the source is pretty clear-cut. When it came to wisdom and wealth, no other king on the planet even came close.
And that leaves us with one last big question. Solomon's time was a true golden age, a peak of power and prosperity. But history shows us that peaks like that don't last forever. It really makes you wonder, right? When you've reached the absolute top, the pinnacle of greatness, is the only direction left to go down?